Decision burnout is something that we can all relate to. But what choices lead us to having a crash out, like the kids say it, based on making decisions? Let's find out about decision fatigue in today's video. I must have a prodigious amount of mind. It takes me as much as a week, to make it up. Mark Twain.
In a 2011 study, researchers followed a group of judges, deciding whether or not to offer imprisoned individuals a chance at parole.
With how our prison system operates, parole for them must be a huge deal.
Logically, one might expect things like an imprisoned person's crime, existing sentence, and current behavior to be the primary considerations. But while those details were duly examined, one variable had a remarkably large impact: the time of day.
How does the time of day even play into this scenario?
Imprisoned people who met with the board in the morning were far more likely to receive parole than those whose cases were reviewed in the afternoon, even if their crimes and sentences were practically identical.
Whoa, that's intriguing. I'm glad they did a study about it.
This finding might seem strange, but the researchers' explanation was simple. In the afternoon, the judges were likely exhausted. Specifically, they were experiencing decision fatigue. This kind of cognitive exhaustion occurs after a period of extended decision making, and it can make people more impulsive and less confident while making choices. The dangers of decision fatigue are clear in high stakes scenarios like this study, but it can have a serious impact on our day to day lives as well. So, what kinds of choices lead us to this state? And what can we do to fight fatigue?
I've heard other conclusions from similar studies, like a judge is more likely to be lenient on you based on after lunch because they've eaten versus before lunch. But I've never heard this one before. It's very interesting.
Everything our bodies do, whether physical or mental, uses energy. But while it's unclear exactly what resources are depleted during mental strain, studies have found many individuals seem to have a daily threshold for making decisions. And once that threshold is met, most people make the conscious choice to take it easy and save serious thinking about any new decisions for another day.
I mean, personally, this has definitely happened to me. I have a stressful day where I have to make a bunch of choices, and at a certain point, the choices are just a wash. The choices are just more of a chance game and are not thought out like the choices I had previously made in the day. This isn't just a one time occurrence, I've definitely had it multiple different times. Maybe you can relate.
How quickly you reach this threshold depends on several variables, including the frequency, complexity, and novelty of the decisions you have to make. For example, choosing what to eat for breakfast isn't very taxing. Not only is this decision limited by what's available, it's also a choice you expect to make once a day, with fairly low stakes. And even when you're not quite sure what to eat, the time between this minor decision and the next one should give you ample room to recover whatever cognitive energy you expend.
Okay, so making decisions is like an energy exchange, and you only have a certain amount of energy. Each decision has a certain allotted amount, and then there's a threshold that contains all the amount of percentages of decisions in it, and it's capped at a certain point.
But let's imagine something much trickier. For example, your car suddenly breaks down and you need to replace it right away. This is an unexpected, complicated decision with serious consequences. In this case, there are countless options to choose from, and you won't find them all in one place. To make the optimal choice, you'll need to do hours of thoughtful research to consider the various pros and cons. And since this is a decision you don't often make, you'll also have to identify what considerations are most important. The time pressure can add additional stress both during the decision making process and afterward, as you expend more energy wondering if you would have made a different decision with more time.
Complex decisions like choosing a new car can be frustrating and sometimes cause me to not even start the activity. But I've learned by not starting, you're guaranteed to not accomplish anything.
After just a single decision of this magnitude, most people would have already reached their decision making threshold. But in professions where individuals need to make multiple high stakes decisions every day, decision fatigue can be much more dangerous.
It brings to my mind CEOs and people who deal with billions of dollars, like hedge funds, where your personal decisions have ramifications on a large scale that are much bigger than yourself. So, a much bigger allotted amount for the decision.
Judges, like those in the 2011 study, often encounter difficult decisions back to back with no time to recover. Many researchers are especially concerned about decision fatigue in medicine. Doctors often work long shifts full of life or death decisions, and some studies have found that medical workers are much more likely to make critical mistakes when working extended shifts.
Judges and healthcare workers are two of the most important, if not the most important, jobs that run our society. Maybe firefighter and police could be brought into the conversation. All of these examples, they have to make high stakes decisions.
Addressing these issues requires institutional changes.
Critical decisions like maybe more of these institutional decisions like maybe more of these critical workers so they each individually get less fatigue.
There are much more direct ways most of us can avoid fatigue in our daily lives. One simple strategy is to make fewer daily decisions, tackling your to-do list over multiple days, or even removing some rote decisions from your day altogether.
Do less, or in better words, have a balanced schedule throughout the week seems like a good way to make less decisions or spread your decisions out throughout the week. So you're staying at like a 3 on the meter throughout the whole week and not 0, 0, 0, 10, 0, 0.
It's also typically less draining to offer advice on a hard decision than it is to make that choice yourself. So it can be helpful to imagine your decisions as someone else's before considering how the consequences impact you specifically.
That's a great technique. Stepping outside your shoes to look at your situation from a different perspective is going to benefit you in most all situations. The devil's advocate is a great role to play to figure out both sides. And through that practice, maybe you find a middle path between the two sides.
Finally, it's essential to remember that not every choice is equally important, and learning how to relax about the small stuff can help you save energy for the decisions that truly matter.
Relaxing about the small stuff and congratulating yourself and making the small stuff a win has helped me personally a lot. I've tried to cultivate a practice to help future me. I'll do little things like prepare dinner, prepare lunch, put clothes out in the morning. Anything that I can do to help future me just grab and go and make life easier has helped me out a lot as well. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.